Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. I hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. I was super sick over the weekend at the women's convention, so I took off yesterday. What a day to take off. Incredible news day, one of the biggest I've ever experienced. So obviously check out Jordan's videos on the Manafort and Gates and Papadopoulos indictments because huge news day, very interesting. But I did want to bring you guys to the attention of a very interesting statement by Trump's chief pollster. We keep telling you that Bernie Sanders would have won. I think this audience knows that Bernie Sanders would have won versus Trump. But the more people that say it, the more the establishment may have to listen. May is the key operative word there. So a pollster for President Trump's campaign says that he believes that Senator Bernie Sanders would have defeated Trump in the general election had he secured the Democratic nomination. Tony Fabrizio said at Harvard University Institute of Politics, were they the same Harvard that denied Chelsea Manning? Any case, on Monday that Sanders could have prevailed where Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton did not. Fabrizio is not just someone who volunteered for the campaign, as the Trump team is now alleging that Papadopoulos, I can't even say it no matter how hard I try. I could look in the mirror and say it 3 times and then Trump would appear. Anyway, he was not just a volunteer for the Trump campaign. He was an extremely important member of the polling faction of their campaign. In fact, he was the chief pollster. So that is very high up. He was in charge of polling for their campaign, and he is even saying that Bernie would have won. There's no question, he continues, that if it had been anybody other than Clinton or anybody other than Trump, that race would not have been as close as it was either way. It would not have been. When asked what would happen during a Sanders-Trump matchup, Fabrizio replied, "I think Sanders beats Trump. I think Sanders would have had the ability to reach a lot of the less than college educated low-income white voters," he added. Some Democrats criticized Vermont senator for staying in the race too long, saying he damaged Clinton's campaign. I know, it's everyone but her. Polls, however, consistently show that the self-described Democratic Socialist beating Trump in a head-to-head matchup. That is true. So even if you're a Trump person, even if you're so disconnected from reality or so greedy or both that you have associated yourself with Donald J. Trump, you have to acknowledge the facts. He would have lost to Bernie Sanders in terms of all of the polling. All of the polling. And the Real Clear Politics average, the general election average leading up to the day in November, that infamous day, had Sanders beating Trump by 49.7 percentage points to 39.3. That is an average of over a 10-point differential. That's the average. So it's not just one outlier poll, it is the average. I know everyone says, oh, the polling was wrong. The polling was so wrong in the general election, you can't trust it. It was wrong around the margins in the states that were swing states that the Democrats took for granted, like Wisconsin and Michigan. It wasn't wrong on the national level. Hillary Clinton still beat Trump in the general election national polling, not in the Electoral College, but she won the popular vote. Everyone knows this. A national survey also conducted 2 days before the election had Sanders at 56% to Trump's 44%. And independent voters, the key demographic, they favored Sanders over Trump 55% to 45%. The poll found that's 10 points. Hillary Clinton, by contrast, lost independents 48 to 42%. That's what people couldn't understand. I think it's one of the main takeaways from this election is that the independent voter is not, they don't get really swung by left or right politics. It's about populism. And that's what Trump essentially did. He appealed to populist rhetoric. He said, hey, I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm going to stop these trade deals. I'm going to bring jobs back to you. Bernie Sanders kind of said the same thing, except with actual authenticity and realness as opposed to complete lies. So how about Michigan? Again, I point to these states because the establishment does not understand how much the Clintons were despised for NAFTA and how those trade deals and how even they just turned on Obama for his penchant to participate in these trade deals. I know that 2012 bears that out. It shows that a lot of these districts went back red because he essentially was way too cozy with corporate interests. And it's not about identity politics. It wasn't because he was black. They voted for him in 2008 and then they switched in 2012. So in Michigan, Bernie won the state in stunning fashion. Some polls had him at 20 points below Hillary Clinton. He won Michigan in the primary. And then Clinton, almost every poll, she's a lock to win Michigan, lost Michigan in the general election. That's because those independent voters switched to Trump because he was saying the same things in terms of trade that Bernie Sanders was. He's a liar, I want to reiterate that, and a crazy person, and I voted for Hillary Clinton, but that's what happened. Those states don't want those trade deals, and Trump and Bernie both appealed to them. Wisconsin similarly, Bernie won by 13 points, Clinton lost Wisconsin in stunning fashion in the general election. So I think it's important because when we talk about 2020, Bernie Sanders, I think, is probably going to run. And we can't have the talking points remain from that the establishment wants to push, that he is unpopular, that he cannot win. Because even the Trump people, even the winning side, is acknowledging that Trump would have lost if Bernie was in the race. I know, the Neratandons of the world are going to say, it's a Machiavellian scheme. This Trump pollster is saying that Bernie would have won. So Bernie runs and Trump wins again. Ugh, they're so smart, those Trump people. They really, really figured it out. No, it's not true. It's just because the facts are so blatant and they aren't paid to say that Clinton and the establishment Democrats are better candidates, that they are acknowledging the reality. It's a stunning admission, but it's only stunning because we see politicians as liars and we see campaigns as just propping up their own candidates all the time. But the facts are so blatant that, of course, the Trump campaign has to admit it when cornered, essentially, or this Trump pollster. So while Trump tweets, while his campaign officials are getting indicted, while his popularity has dipped to 33%, which George H.W. Bush, Obama, Clinton, I believe Reagan never ever dipped below that. I think Bush did. Bush W, the more recent Bush, did dip below 33. But it's historic this early on in the presidency. So while he is completely mangling his presidency, Bernie is attacking the issues that he's neglecting, like healthcare, Medicare for all, single payer, polls above water in every poll. Puerto Rico, Trump completely bungled and harmed the lives of so many people living in Puerto Rico and just completely neglected them after their disaster. Bernie Sanders goes to visit Puerto Rico a few days ago. He actually was supposed to be at that women's convention and did not come because he went to Puerto Rico instead. So he is positioning himself to be better and to completely contrast himself from these issues that Trump is so bad on. Healthcare, Puerto Rico, being a decent human being, not being corrupt, not being nuts, those kinds of things. That's why it's ironic that Trump's nickname for Bernie is Crazy Bernie Sanders. You really couldn't come up with a better one than that, because actually a good amount of the American public thinks you're crazy, Donald Trump, because you kind of are. There's something a little wrong. And Bernie Sanders is positioning himself really well for 2020. And even the Trump people have to say, he would have won. So remember this moment when the establishment tries to use their same talking points and recycle them in 2020. Not gonna work. Have a good day, guys.